I am Brock Bidlack, Superintendent of Fairless Local Schools. I want to extend a warm welcome to all of you to this distinguished Fairless Falcon ceremony today. I am Brock Bidlack, Superintendent of Fairless Local Schools. I want to extend a warm welcome to you today. Today we will be inducting 3 worthy individuals into the distinguished Fairless Falcon Hall of Fame. Mr. Fred Brideweser, Mr. Don Cooke, Mr. Raymond. You will hear about their life accomplishments and the positive contributions they've made to our school, our community, and our society. Thank you for being part of this special celebration today.
Our first inductee is Mr. Fred Brideweser. I had the honor of interviewing a former player of Mr. Brideweser, Mr. Ron Rankin. In that interview, I learned that Mr. Brideweser had a huge influence on Fairless athletics.
In all the times that I knew him as a player and as a fellow faculty member along with him, I do not believe I ever saw him lose it.
The most prestigious award given to Fairless athletes has his name on it. Our stadium bears his name. He is none other than Mr. Fred Brideweser.
Bridie was one heck of an athlete in his day.
When Mr. Brideweser graduated from Capital University, he was only the second athlete there to earn varsity letters in 4 sports in a single year. He was an All-Ohio Conference halfback in football and lettered in baseball, basketball, and track. In 1931, Mr. Brideweser was named the head football, basketball, and baseball coach of the former Navarre High School. His career was put on hold when he went into the Navy in World War II, but when he came home, he took 2 of his baseball teams to the state finals. Mr. Brideweser became well known in Ohio scholastic athletics. He amassed 436 baseball victories against 151 defeats and had 5 teams in the state finals in Columbus. His teams also played in the regionals on several occasions. He coached several undefeated football teams with a career record of 140 wins, 51 defeats, and 13 ties.
Bridie was known all over the state. And every college coach in the area, I'm talking about the states around, they all knew who Bridie was.
Mr. Brideweser wasn't just known for his coaching abilities, but his knowledge of the games he coached and his ability to get along with people.
We'd go to meetings when he was athletic director. You no sooner walked in the room and they'd verge on Bridie, talk to Bridie.
In 1959, Mr. Brideweser was named the athletic director of Fairless High School.
He was in charge of all our scheduling and getting coaches and making sure that things went well and worked well.
He served as Fairless High School's athletic director until he retired in 1967. In 1972, he was presented with an honorary lifetime membership in the Ohio High School Football Coaches Association, and on August 4, 1977, he was inducted into their Hall of Fame in ceremonies at the All-Star Game in Canton, Ohio. Mr. Brideweser died in 1975, but his family has established the Fred Brideweser Memorial Scholarship Fund at Fairless High School. Each year, trophies and funds are awarded to the outstanding girl and boy athletes.
He was well respected.
Mr. Brideweser did a lot for Fairless. He made a name for Fairless athletics and has helped inspire so many young athletes to do great things. Even though Mr. Brideweser isn't with us anymore, his spirit lives on with each and every athlete and student who represents Fairless.
He was my inspiration. It helped our reputation in the long run, and it certainly helped Fairless.
Our second inductee is Mr. Don Cooke. From my interviews, I learned about Don's passion for teaching and history.
Always was so good with kids. They'd come up and say, Mr. Cooke, and he wouldn't know who to talk to first, and he'd tell them "Now you did that really well," or, he complimented him. And I think that's why he was so popular with the kids. I just have always admired Don because he knows so much, and he knows all about antiques, and he belongs to a club about antiques. He can talk on that. He can talk on the history of Navarre and Stark County. I just admire him so much.
So if they could remember you for one thing, what would you want to be remembered for?
What I did for others. From teaching to the local history to the establishment of the corridor.
Why do you have such a passion for Fairless?
It's always been a part of me. Since I started school in first grade. Of course, it was Navarre, and I got to be part of, when I was in high school, the creation of the district.
Yeah.
I was out trying to get a bond levy passed to create the school district. The district was created. I got to meet Benjamin Fairless. He came to speak at a graduation in '57, and he came to the door where I was a greeter, and I got to shake hands with him. So I got to meet him.
Don was born in 1940. As a young boy, he grew up in and around Navarre, Ohio, where he attended Navarre Grade School and graduated from the former Navarre High School, which we now call Fairless. Then he moved to Kent State University for his BSE degree, and then to Eastern Michigan for his master's degree.
When I went to school, I couldn't read. My first 4 years, I struggled with reading. Till the teacher in the 4th grade took me to the library. When you struggle with something and then you learn that that's an important item and you can help the student much better.
After 35 years of being in the field of education, from being a teacher to being a principal, Don decided to retire in the spring of 1999. Don has also received many rewards, including 1990 Ohio Historical Society State Preservation Award, 1990 Alliances Preservation Award, 1993 Alliances Preservation Award, 1993 Stark County Citizen of the Year Award. Don has also written 2 historical books, plus one he co-wrote with Marilyn Cooke. If you had to pick one of your jobs that you did, what would be your favorite? With all your teaching and being principals and
The favorite grades would be 4th, 5th, 6th.
Why?
Teaching the younger students. There's so much, they're active and fun to work with, because at times I can act like that.
Yeah.
And I think that you just have fun with them, the younger students.
How do you feel about being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I have received awards, but I think when you get it from your local school community, it's much, much more personal and greater than receipt. I've got state awards, county awards, but this is just completely different because it's so much more personal to me.
Our third inductee is Mr. Raymond Stuck, who is an accomplished civil engineer. However, I had the opportunity to speak with his niece, and she explained to me just how much of an inspiration he was, not only as a professional, but as a man.
If I wrote him about something that I was thinking of, why, he'd write me back and give me his outlook on it. and tell me to hang in there. We come from good stock.
Raymond Stuck was born on October 21st of 1887 in Wilmot, Ohio. Mr. Stuck graduated from Sugar Creek Township High School in 1905. After high school, he was a teacher for 5 years. He loved to teach, however, he decided to enter into the Case Institute of Technology in Cleveland, Ohio. In 1915, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering. In 1929, he became involved as project manager for the design and construction of the Goodyear Zeppelin hangar at Akron, Ohio.
This is a hangar that they built up in Akron, and my uncle designed the doors that opened to let the dirigible in.
After this construction, he went with Arthur G. McKee and Company as project manager and chief engineer on the design and construction of a complete metallurgical plant located in Russia. Upon returning from the project in 1932, Mr. Stuck went with the Corps of Engineers as an assistant engineer. He served under them in Zanesville, Ohio and Eastport, Maine.
This is in Athens, Greece. This is in
On through 1949, Mr. Stuck was transferred to various divisions of the Corps of Engineers as a result of World War II. After the war, he was transferred to the office as Chief of Engineers in Washington, D.C.
Oh, this is his medal that he got from because he was in the Pentagon.
In late 1949, Mr. Stuck became chief engineer of the Atomic Energy Commission for the Hanford Works plant at Richland, Washington. He was only in this position for a year when he accepted an offer to go to Turkey as project manager for the development of a coal mine. He returned to the United States in June of 1952.
When he retired, you can tell he was a common man. He was doing his own work. This is from my Uncle Ray. You're sure to make your mark on the world. I'm betting on you. Congratulations, Ray.
Raymond Stuck was an inspiration to everyone who knew him as well as his family, and his legacy will most definitely live on through his family.
Congratulations, class of 2012.